more back then. Like Tommy had an idea, I put this in the book. He had an idea for an alternate ending in which it's revealed that Johnny is a vampire. Wish we shot that, but we did make another movie called Best Friends a few years back that I wrote and produced, and I wrote the role for Tommy in his voice, and he plays the role of a vampire mortician that collects bodies at a morgue and then sells their gold teeth. And I pitched it to him, and he's like, yeah, sounds like a good idea, but I have one request. I'm like, all right. He's like, what about if you and I are same height in the movie? So I didn't try to recreate the magic of the room because I think that'd be impossible. So what I try to do is just make something genuine and authentic for where we were now. So, anybody else? Yeah.
How did you cast the actors?
The actors for this? So that was one of my favorite things to write in the book was the casting process, because I came in, I got roped into this basically. Tommy called me one day, he's like, hey, you want to make $100? And so I went over for an hour and I opened all these headshots. We put out an ad for a feature film being shot on 35mm film. So all like 5,000 people submitted headshots for these roles. And I went through and picked out headshots and set up these castings. And so people would line up, but there was like, Tommy didn't want to give them a script. So you would just like emotionally terrorize people and put in front of the camera and say, you just won $1 million. They're like, what? And he's like, give me something. Your sister just became lesbian. And so basically we found people that were willing to commit to that casting process to survive that who were in the film. And it took like weeks. We were casting for like 6 to 8 weeks. And then they'd come in and basically it was like they'd audition and then they sort of get the part. Then they'd come back next week and next week and next week. And it was like, people never thought the movie was going to get made. So it was a very, very courageous group of people that stuck through this.
Did you struggle with laughing on set?
I mean, I met Tommy 4 years before we made this, so I had all the experience you could ever hope for. I mean, I met him in an acting class, and that's where all this started. So, yeah, I had a lot of, it was very hard to keep a straight face during the high mark scene. Like, I wrote about like 36 takes to get that one moment. So, everybody else really tried. Like when Mike gets pushed into the trash can in the football, we were doing our best not to laugh because he's like, this needs to be very serious. In the script it said, Mark massages Mike's leg for like 5 minutes. So we really tried to sell it as best we could. But yeah, many times, like when he said at the end when he says, in a few minutes, bitch. She lost it. There was a lot of really fun moments.
And when did you realise that the film sort of became its own thing?
So it was started in LA. These film students discovered it. It would show once a month at midnight in LA for free. And it built up a cult following. I had no idea, but Seth Rogen and Jonah Hill would go see it. Paul Rudd slept with a DVD next to his bed. So it really grew, and then it was around 2009, 2010, it came to the UK, and it just spread everywhere, and that's when I got the idea to write The Disaster Artist. I thought that story could make a good film.
On that, what was, Tommy and everyone's reaction to the book? How did they feel about that sort of aspect of it?
So when I got the idea, one of the big things is I kind of involved everybody. So I went back and talked to all the actors and got there. Because I didn't know really at the beginning what the book was going to be. We pitched it to the publisher, and the original title for the book was Locked Inside the Room. And I'm like, oh no. Because I didn't want it to be a story just about the room. Yeah. So I was like, okay, let's just get it going, and I'll figure out what it is. So Tommy was the first person I told. I started interviewing him before I even got the book deal. And he would tell me stories. Like, I give you the story for your book, I used to sell birds in San Francisco. I used to sell yo-yo. Like, he'd give me all these crazy stories, and then I interviewed, Chris R. and just talked to the kids, because because I had a lot of behind the scenes footage,
Mm.
but I just would talk to like the DP, the guy who was the cameraman, and just collect all these stories. And then I realized, okay, this it's going to be a story about the friendship and then the making of the movie. But everyone was very well aware of the book. They're all excited. We did the book launch with the whole cast there. Tommy, who initially like was hesitant to show up, but he showed up like at the very end, like, which was really funny. But 3 weeks after it came out, I think it kind of shocked a lot of people because Seth Rogen and James Franco called, and they were James was reading on the set of The Disaster Artist. He'd never seen, or on the interview, he had never seen The Room. So he's reading this book. He's like, "Is this like a true story? This is the craziest Hollywood story I've ever heard of." And so I think everyone was excited by everything that happened with it.
So, 2 questions. Which room is the room specifically?
The bedroom.
The bedroom. Cool.
I mean, yeah, for this movie, do you think The Room is a good title?
I feel like the belly button would have.
Spoons. The spoon.
The Spoon.
Yeah.
The Spoon.
That would have worked.
That's like a Hitchcock deal.
Yeah.
What a question up there.
No spooning though.
Just
Second
here.
point, yeah.
Oh, okay.
How long did the sex scenes take to film?
So the sex scenes were all shot towards the end of filming because we shot by location. So the living room set, tear that down, and then we moved on to the bedroom set. The sex scenes in the rough cut were like 7.5 minutes. So you guys got spared. I felt like it took an eternity, honestly. We filmed this movie for 6 months. The very last scene we ever filmed on this movie was the doggy scene. So talk about going out on a high note.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was asked while I was in the bathroom, but the frame pixel spoons, how did that happen?
That, I mean, like most of these things in this movie, the magic came accidentally. We were basically filming quickly, and the set wasn't decorated, and the script supervisor was like, "Hey, we need a shot of the couple." And Tommy's like, "I'm sorry, we don't have time." And then she just get a picture frame put out. So they just went to the store, bought a picture frame. It had a picture of a spoon. No one noticed. They're like, we're making a movie no one's gonna see. Who cares? And there's those film students that discovered that. They're like, "Dude, there's a framed picture of a spoon." What is going on? They yell spoon and then start throwing plastic spoons. So.
We
There you
cleared
go.
up just before you got here.
But yeah, it's incredible. It started just something so simple. Yeah.
Are you still in contact with Tommy?
Yeah, it was weird when I was doing the intro, my watch was buzzing, and I'm not joking, I got like a hot flash, I had a feeling, and I looked and it was Tommy. Great. Yeah.
What's the deal with Mike? Because he's like the most early 2000s.
Yeah, he really is. He was just cast in late, like the original script didn't have a mic. He came in, the character came in late, he just showed up and gave that whole comedy thing that Tommy didn't quite get. And he just pushed it as much as he could. I think he was trying to get into like half-hour sketch comedy, so he was doing that part to try to get tape to show people what he could do. But a little surprise between us, he's now an FBI agent. You guys aren't worried enough about the U.S. There's another point. All right, any more questions? Yeah.
Yeah, are there any like deleted scenes that you think should have been in the movie?
So that was one of the things. Everything we pretty much shot making the rooms in the film, except for the Chris R scene was also shot indoors. Tommy didn't think it was dramatic enough, so we shot it all outside. But everything is pretty much in there. Every scene we filmed and made the cut. Efficient, yeah.
Tell me he's made a shitload of money from it.
Like Tommy says, we're happy where we are.
Accept the rights. I need to know he's actually all right from it because that's truly memorable. While you were filming, did anyone pick up on the fact that the TV was behind the chair?
It was so the space was like a camera equipment rental shop, so it wasn't meant to be like furnished. So they had to really like build set walls in, so nothing really fit into that space. And that TV was my TV, actually. that I loaned Tommy, and then it got thrown off. Yeah, it was a really tight fit, and they were just trying to do the best they could with that space, but it makes no sense, which is even better.
Did the budget come from Tommy's American dream?
Yeah, I think it came through retail and real estate, or Tommy's a Transylvanian vampire. We don't one of those. Yeah.
How did filming Big Shark compare to filming The Room?
So I'm actually not in Big Shark. I'm on the poster and I'm in the trailer. I'm in there in spirit. But when we did make Best Friends, I really enjoyed that process. It was a lot of fun, and Tommy in the right role is actually a very compelling, interesting actor, and when you're rooting for him, it's a lot of fun.
So why are you on the poster?
What's that?
Why are you on the poster and in the trailer?
We did a little concept teaser for fun that we filmed years ago, and so like he made a mock poster and just kind of kept it. Yeah.
So during the flower shop scene, obviously the iconic flower shop scene, you can tell that the audio has been sort of moved around a lot. Was that like a deliberate decision, or was that kind of a happy accident? You know, did you have the audio and then thought, now we're going to master it on top? Was that a decision that you were involved in?
It was just sort of those, we just pulled up to a flower shop and filmed as quick as we could. Parked out front, the flower shop, literally went in, convinced the flower shop people to play themselves, and just ran it. So the audio was probably tight, and then they just tried to fix it in post.
Right, okay.
I'm just bummed I didn't get a chance to be in that scene. It's quite amazing.
I think we've got time for like 2 more questions. Anyone? Just sorry, you've had your hand up for ages.
Did you notice when filming all of the plot lines that just stopped?
Yeah, again, it was sort of a personal story for Tommy. Whatever he came up with, it was his view of the perfect life or whatever he had gone through. So I never really tried to correct him on it. I just tried to push him to make the movie he wanted to make. A lot of people were like, change this, or maybe that should go there. And he always go, we think about it, we see. So I knew he was going to be very set on what he wanted to make. And I just tried to support that. And I kind of love that it doesn't really make much sense because it fits into how Tommy sees the world.
So, anyone? One more question from the front there.
You said that everybody was committed to it. Has anybody stepped back from it at all, or felt they were set up?
No, I think everyone has a good attitude about it. Like I said, when I interviewed everyone for the book, they all remembered it fondly, and it's something they did in their early, mid, late 20s. So they didn't expect anything from it. And I think that was the key spot, is if you don't expect success or anything from something, and then it turns in, it's sort of like a nice surprise. So they've all obviously moved on. Like the movie took like 7-8 years to build up. So they all live around the United States in different places. But for the most part, I feel like everyone looks at it with a good attitude. So, but you guys were awesome. It's my first few hours in Plymouth. You guys are really a lot of fun. Thanks so much for putting this on and giving me a chance to come here. And if I didn't get a chance to meet you or sign your book or take a photo, I'll be in the lobby. But thank you so much, guys. This was a lot of fun.